Good evening. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area and our co-sponsor, the Daily Record, I am pleased to welcome you to our Parsippany-Troy Hills mayoral debate. My name is Joy Treef. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of the Morris area and a senior at Randolph High School. I have a strong interest in government and therefore am proud to be a part of an organization that encourages informed participation in our democracy. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization, and therefore we never support or oppose political parties or candidates. Elections and voting are our core concerns, and empowering voters defending democracy is our mission. We are committed to providing fact-based information about issues and positions candidates take on those issues to help voters make their own decisions and participate in the electoral process. Membership in the League is open to all ages and gender identities. We welcome volunteers whether or not you are a member. With 100 years of experience, the League is one of America's oldest and most trusted civic nonprofit organizations. So with that, I would like to welcome our co-sponsor representative for this debate, Mr. Bill Westhoven, to say a few words. On behalf of Mr. Bill Westhoven, I would like to say a few words. The Daily Record has covered Morris County since 1900 and is now part of the USA Today New Jersey network, covering breaking news, local, state, national, and global news, investigative journalism, topical features, scholastic and professional sports, and more both in print and at thedailyrecord.com. We encourage everyone to go to vote411.org, a one-stop site for all information on aspects of voting in New Jersey, including statements on the issues from your candidates, and please visit our website to learn more about the Morse Area League. Remember to make your vote count and vote in one of three ways. The first is by mail ballot, if you signed up for that. The second is early in person using a voting machine from Saturday, October 25th, 2025 to Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. No appointment is necessary. Or in person on Tuesday, November 4th. This debate is being live streamed on the Morris Area League of Women Voters YouTube channel and will be available there for viewing afterwards. Other language captions will be available tomorrow on the stream. We encourage the sharing of the League's recording of this event in its entirety, but do not allow editing or making public any excerpts from the recording. The League's name, logo, event recording, or any materials from the event cannot be used in a way that could lead a viewer or a reader to infer League support of or opposition to a candidacy. So at this time, I would like to introduce our moderator, Ms. Joan Sturm. Joan is a League-trained moderator who is not from this voting district. She will introduce the candidates and outline the format for this evening.
Hi, everyone. I know Bill was with us. He was having some computer difficulties. I know that he wants to say how pleased he is to be here, how important this race is, and Parsippany-Troy Hills is to him in the Daily Record. They are a co-sponsor, and I know he's sorry that he wasn't able to log on through the computer, but has been involved with our question screening, and he will be watching live stream with all of you. So we want to welcome you. Thank you, Joy. We want to welcome our Parsippany-Troy Hills voters for joining us tonight from this live stream event on the League of Women Voters Morris Area YouTube channel. And we want to thank the candidates for making the time tonight to participate in this virtual forum to answer some of the voters' most pressing questions. I'm pleased to be with you tonight as your League of Women Voters moderator. This is a forum devoted to hearing the views of the two candidates running for mayor for Parsippany-Troy Hills. It is one of the League of Women Voters' primary responsibilities to ensure that voters are informed about who their candidates are and what their perspectives and priorities are in this nonpartisan forum. Voters have had an opportunity to submit their questions online prior to tonight. These very questions have been reviewed by the League and this evening's sponsors for length, clarity, and language. And in an attempt to consolidate multiple questions on one topic into a single question, your specific question might not be asked, but it is represented in the questions we are asking. Now, let me go over the format of the debate, which both our candidates are aware of. Each candidate will have a 2-minute opening statement after I introduce them. Then each candidate will answer questions that I have received from all of you and summarized into a manageable group that we can ask. Questions have not been shared with the candidates in advance. They will each have 1 minute to answer every question. We have a timekeeper who has a card that she will hold up. She's going to hold up a yellow card, which is indicating 30 seconds are left in the response. She then has a red card, which alerts the candidate it is time to stop. Candidates are allowed to finish their sentence, but time limits are strictly enforced. After the candidates have responded to the question, they will be offered an opportunity for one 30-second rebuttal for that question. If one of them initiates a rebuttal, the other one is then allowed to have a rebuttal also. But they each only get to do one rebuttal per question. But they know how many wonderful questions we have, so I'm not anticipating that to happen throughout the debate. But whenever they feel it necessary, they are welcome to do that. Following the Q&A session, each candidate will deliver a 2-minute closing statement in the reverse order that they delivered their opening statement. And the questions will be delivered back and forth to each of them. So they each will have an opportunity to be first and then to be second for different questions. So now we are going to start with our introductions and opening statements. So first, with Mr. James Barbario, I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself and to start letting the timer know your 2-minute opening statement.
All right, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the residents of Parsippany and esteemed members of the League of Women Voters for tonight's debate. As a lifelong resident of Parsippany and proud father, I've had the privilege of raising my family in this wonderful community. My journey began back at Parsippany Hills High School, where I was inspired by a remarkable history teacher, Stephen Marabetti, who was also a deacon at St. Joseph's Roman Catholic Church, but he was also the mayor of Lincoln Park. He became my mentor. I shared with him when I left high school that whoever I marry, you would perform this ceremony. You would baptize my children, and I would be the mayor of Parsippany one day. And all those things happened. I was honored to see that dream realized in 2010 when I took office as mayor. During my 3 terms, I committed myself to rejuvenating our community by addressing the challenges of financial mismanagement head-on and restoring vital surpluses to our municipal utilities. My dedication to Parsippany has remained steadfast, even when I did not secure a 3rd term in 2017. I immersed myself in local issues and served as a business administrator in neighboring municipalities, ensuring my connection to our community remained strong. When I was reelected as mayor in 2021, I embraced the challenges ahead with renewed resolve. I left the prior administration with $23 million in surplus, and I inherited an $8.5 million deficit. But I applied focused leadership and strategic planning to not only overcome those obstacles, but to transform it into a remarkable $12 million surplus. This accomplishment has drawn commendation from both Moody and Standards & Poor's, affirming that Parsippany is crushing it under my leadership. Our community deserves seasoned leadership capable of navigating today's complexities. I am dedicated to providing the steady, experienced guidance that our residents can rely on, and advance together in the future. I welcome the opportunity to address and your questions and clarify the misinformation circulated by our opponents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Barbario. And now we're going to hear from Mr. Pulkit Desai. Please introduce yourself with a 2-minute opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Diwali and Happy New Year. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and Mayor Barbario for, being cooperative in this debate. I'm Pulkit Desai, and I'm honored to be running for mayor of Parsippany, alongside Matt Cavanaugh and Dia Patel for council. My story begins in India, where my parents, my sister, and I came to America when I was 12 years old. We stayed with my aunt, who opened her home and heart to us. I went to school here, high school, college, and then chose to serve by joining the United States Marine Corps. I participated in the first Gulf War, Operation Desert Shield, and Desert Storm, where I led Marines through dangerous territory. In those years, I learned one simple truth: when times get tough, you adapt, improvise, and overcome. After the Marines, I spent 30 years in the corporate world, solving complex problems, managing global teams, and making decisions rooted in integrity and transparency. Now I'm leaving that world to serve the people of Parsippany, not for personal gain, but this is my home. I lived here since 2000, raising my family, volunteering in scouting, coaching youth sports, and watching my son earn his Eagle Scout rank. For the past 5 years, I've served as president of Lake Parsippany, one of New Jersey's largest lake communities, representing nearly 8,800 residents. We've restored voting rights that had been taken away, stabilized our finances, passed third-party audit every year, and published monthly budgets versus actual so everyone can see where their money is spent. That's what trust and accountability looks like. And that's the kind of leadership I want to bring to Town Hall. Parsippany deserves results, not politics as usual. I know how to solve problems, bring people together, and deliver for this community. Not for special interests, but for the people who live and work here. So tonight, I ask you for your trust as your neighbor who believes deeply in service, fairness, and the promise of Parsippany. Thank you, and let's build our future together.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Very nice. Thank you both for your opening statements that stayed within 2 minutes. So thank you. Now we're going to go into the questions. For those who are watching, this debate is of critical importance for many of Parsippany's residents, and therefore I am including time for rebuttals, and I plan to cover most of the topics that the residents have posted to the League of Women Voters social media page. In doing so, we may actually run a little over an hour because it is that important. First question will go to Mr. Desai. If elected, what changes do you envision for Parsippany-Troy Hills 4 years from now?
I want Parsippany a place to be where families can move and have improved roads, funding for schools that's fully funded, and public safety. These are the things that I want. On top of that, I want to make sure that there's absolutely trust in the government. As of right now, the town is not working for the residents of Parsippany. Time and time again, I'm seeing signs, not signs, but 30 seconds. Not signs, but permits for housing taking an extremely long amount of time, and the pilot programs. I plan to stop pilot programs because the schools are the biggest losers in this. They do not get the funding. They're losing millions of dollars every year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Desai. Now, the same question for Mr. Barbario. Want me to repeat it?
Yes, please.
If elected, what changes do you envision for Parsippany-Troy Hills 4 years from now?
Well, let's just put it this way. The changes that I would do, there's really not many changes I would do because I have pushed Parsippany forward. Let's get to some of the comments that my opponent made because I have to answer the questions that were not responsive. First of all, that's false. I know they like to use those types of mantras. Let's talk about the pilot program real quick. The pilot program, if he's going to get rid of the pilot programs like he said he's going to, then I don't know where he's going to get the revenue. We have 20 vacant office buildings in Parsippany. Now we got 21. And if you don't think outside the box and think that we're going to somehow generate this revenue somewhere, the only other way to generate that revenue is through what? The taxpayers. So that being said, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing in Parsippany. Our budgets are sound, fiscally responsible. Not just that, we've maintained our bond rating. It's been gone up. It continues to go up under this leadership. So with that being said, the changes, I know the question's a good question, but I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing because the Parsippany has, oh, I see the stop sign there. All
Yes,
right.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. So we have I can either just move on to the next question and not each time ask you if there's a rebuttal. So typically that's what I would do if that's okay with you. So if before I move on to the next question, you just let me know if you need to say a rebuttal. I'll, pause for a moment, but I'm not going to ask you each time, do you have a rebuttal? All right. Thank you both for the answer to that question. Now, the next question will first go to Mr. Barbario. You brought it up, so there you go. How are you going to meet the needs of the town while keeping taxes down?
How are you going to, why now?
How are you going to meet the needs of Parsippany-Troy Hills while keeping taxes down?
Well, first and foremost, I meet the needs specifically almost every day. Let's talk about public safety. I posted the public safety. When I came back as mayor, we're down to 81 deployable police officers. We're up to 99. Okay, I came in, I had to handle a deficit of $8.5 million. Now we're in the black. We're doing very well. I would continue to maintain that. I will not stop. I will always do everything I can for the residents. Now we have to, get to the real issue here, which is back again. We continue to lose our ratables when it comes to our companies leaving. Well, I'm not going to let that happen. You have to think outside the box. You have to continue to move forward. You got to continue to make sure you meet with all the developers, you meet with residents, and that's what I do on a daily basis.
Thank you, Mr.
Barbario.
Barbaro. One of the beauties of the League of Women Voters is I am not from your area. So if I mispronounce your names, it really shows I really don't know you. I just, so there's, yeah. So sorry about that. If it gives a chuckle to the audience, great. So the same question to Mr. Desai,
Sure.
and that is, how are you going to meet the needs of Parsippany-Troy Hills while keeping taxes down?
Sure. First is I would go line by line on the budget and see what we can control. And that includes shared services with neighboring towns. And also to never ignore any state funding given to us like we were given in the past for the environment that we now have to give back. I acknowledge that the town taxes are only part of the property tax burden, and I can only influence control over that portion. So with the 25% increase in local taxes over the last 4 years, the only way to go about it is to look at the budget and control things properly.
Thank you. Well,
I'd like to rebuttal.
you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I do.
Sure. Okay, let me get the timer ready for the 30-second rebuttal. Got it.
Continues talking about 25% increase in taxes. He doesn't even understand how it works. He doesn't understand the difference between the tax levy and the tax rate. Okay, well, if you inherit $8.5 million in a deficit, well, why is that? Because the former administration got special dispensation from the state. They over appropriated the revenues. And when I came in, they were over appropriated by $8.5 million. You have to fix that. Well, we fixed it. So when you're not getting taxed on the 14.3%, because that's a tax levy, and you can't cut your way to prosperity.
Okay.
I'd like a rebuttal on this,
Thank
please.
you. So now, of course, now you will have a chance for also a 30-second rebuttal on
Sure.
this same topic.
Uh,
Mr. Desai.
Yes. I believe in trust but verify. I looked at it and had it verified that the $8.5 million deficit was actually a surplus. I know the mayor likes to portray it, but it is a fact, a surplus. The mayor knows that this was a surplus. With that surplus, he raised taxes 14% in that first year and then 25% over the 4 years. And while it is too much to prove in this forum, I can certainly prove that anytime the mayor wishes.
I wish you to do that because to the residents.
So I will tell you that we are going to go into questions on pilots and as it relates to taxes. But that was my one question on taxes because pilots will so much relate to it when you answer those questions. So if you want to spend another rebuttal on taxes right now, I can do that. Otherwise, we're going to go to the next question.
Well, I have to rebuttal his lie.
Okay, and then he will have a chance to rebuttal also.
in a surplus. He wants
Right, let me make sure the timer has started and let me give you a chance to start your sentence again. Timer, I'm allowing another rebuttal because this is on taxes and it's the last we're going to talk about there. Yes, go on, Mr.
First of all,
Barbaro.
he's lying because it wasn't a surplus. He wants to use that term. He can prove it. He's had so many months to prove it. Comes to the meetings, just sits there, doesn't say a word. I even told him, you can audit our books, and I would audit the Lake Bush LPPOA books. But he doesn't want that to happen because you don't want to audit the books because you're going to see exactly how we get out of debt, and that's not good for him.
Thank you,
I'd like a quick rebuttal.
Yes, absolutely. Final rebuttal, Mr. Desai.
My lake books are audited every year. They're publicly open. I publish budget versus actual every month. Everything is good with me. And I stand by what I stated, that it's an $8.5 million surplus.
Next council meeting, present.
Wait. Okay, I've got to be fair. So otherwise, we're never going to get to the next question. Okay.
Sure.
So I think we've heard both of your views on taxes, and you have mentioned pilots. So let's now go to that topic. So we're going to dive into pilots, but to inform our viewers, just for those who might not be aware, I'm just going to give a quick little definition of pilots so they understand, and then we will go into a few related questions. A pilot is an agreement between a municipality and a developer. The agreement spells out the payment the municipality will receive for the property instead of or in lieu of charging property taxes. Unlike property taxes, where some percentage of the tax revenue goes to the school district instead, all revenue received from pilot programs goes directly to the municipality only. It is then within the purview of the mayor and town council how these monies from the pilot are distributed across the community. Therefore, it is in their hands to make revenue share agreements with all stakeholders. So this is just for a broad understanding of pilots. Was there any part of that wasn't said correctly? Otherwise, I'll get into the first question. Is that okay for a brief description? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this is for Desai first. What is your position on pilots, which you've already told us? Do you believe they're good for Parsippany? And would you encourage more of them? And you've already told us that you don't think they're good and you wouldn't. So feel free to discuss what you think some options are while we're on this topic of pilots. And please know there are a couple other questions related to pilots after this. So
Sure.
With that, Desai.
No pilots. They're not needed to attract business. Parsippany is at the crossroads of 287 and 80 major thoroughfares in New Jersey. And the reason for that is the schools are the biggest loser in funding and then also overcrowding. It is not a state mandate to give pilots. We are developing unsustainably and we cannot sustain this at this rate. It impacts the infrastructure and again, the schools. Why are we giving tax break to developers is unjust. Due to this, taxes goes up for the residents. And where are the tax breaks for the residents?
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Mr. Barbario.
First and foremost, pilots do not affect the schools whatsoever. The schools are tapped at 2% revenue, and they know that. Whatever they budget, they get. They get 100% of it. If they budget this year was 160 million, they get 160 million dollars. Ratables don't even affect the schools because of the way that they're capped at 2%. So with that being said, the schools are losing nothing, but the town will lose. He talks about us being a crossroads, but yeah, he doesn't talk about 20 vacant office buildings that have been vacant for a long time, and we just got 21 on there. These are incentives to bring revenues into the town.
Thank you for Mr. Barbario. The next question totally relates to this, so I'm going to go to it. Great. Residents are concerned that a revenue sharing agreement has not been reached with the Board of Education. Mr. Barbario, you will be the first to answer this question. Let me start it again. Residents are concerned that a revenue sharing agreement has not been reached for the Board of Education. If elected, will you commit to sitting down with all stakeholders, including the Board of Education, fire districts, and other affected departments, to develop a fair revenue sharing agreement and funding formula? including the possibility, which has been brought up by some of the your residents, of establishing a shared revenue per pupil agreement to take into account such costs as schooling, transportation, classroom capacity, and such.
I've
Mr.
done that.
Barbario.
I sent an agreement over to them. They sent one back, and we're going to be reviewing it. Per pupil, it was per pupil, with regards to revenue sharing. But you're capped. You also capped them state legislation when it comes to that. Yes, we've done that, and I will sit with them. I will sit with them. Absolutely, we'll sit with them because they sent back what they wanted, and we have to see if it works for us. The township needs to make revenues as well, so we have a balance here. I visited the schools. I saw some of the projects that they need done. There's a lot of capital improvements that need to be done with the schools, from Parsippany High, Brooklyn Middle School, you name it. The schools have not been maintained, but that has nothing to do with the township. But yes, I have sat with them, and we're not gonna, we're gonna continue to do what's right for the township and for the schools. I'm a proponent of the schools.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Same question for Mr. Desai, and the understanding that you are not in support of pilots, you can answer this question as it relates to pilot programs that are already set up and existing. So the question is, residents are concerned that a revenue sharing agreement has not been reached with the Board of Ed. If elected, will you commit to sitting down with all stakeholders, including the Board of Ed, fire districts, and other affected departments, to develop a fair revenue sharing agreement and funding formula, including the possibility of establishing a shared revenue per pupil agreement that takes into account increased costs for schooling, transportation, and classroom capacity? Mr. Desai.
Yes, the answer is simple. The Board of Education is going to have a seat at the table with everything that we do with the town. They will get timely answers, they will get a timely response, and any revenue sharing agreement is going to be expedited. I know there was one in May, but nothing has happened, and we're in October. The council hasn't voted on it. So the Board of Education has 100% support from me at every step of the way.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. I'm going to move on to the next question. There was one thing that you mentioned, and it's not one of my questions, but I don't know if the residents would like clarity, and that was Mr. Barbario, you mentioned a cap, and I don't know if it's a cap for pilots per pupil, but I'm going to just ask for you to clarify that, and then I will give Mr. Desai also a chance to comment about that, since you did bring this up when we talked about the revenue sharing per pupil agreement.
Well, the schools can't go over a 2% cap with their budget. They're capped at 2%, which basically means the revenues can't exceed 2% and their expenses cannot exceed 2%. Okay, and that's the law that they go by. So pilot or no pilot, they still can't exceed that 2%. They get their money no matter what. That's really basically what it means. They're not affected by pilots, and they're not affected by rateable loss because they're capped at the 2%. So any agreement we have is outside the 2% cap. That's money they can use as they wish. And it's outside the cap, and they would be within their local finance laws. I mean, school laws. That's what it means.
Thank you. Mr. Desai, did you want to comment on this same thing with regards to the cap?
Yes. The 2% cap is absolutely true, but it's 2% of the revenue that the town gets. If you don't get the revenue because of the pilot program, you get a smaller pie of that 2%. If you do get the revenue from all the pilots, the 2% of that pie is much more money for the school system. That's the real math. It's not like we just have to pay their, bills, but you have to have more money coming in from these programs that should not be pilots. We don't need to give out pilots. So we will get more money, and that 2% of that, larger pie would benefit the school system.
Thank you.
I have to
rebuttal. I'm sorry, rebuttal? Okay. Barbario.
He says it's a fact. I can't even use the word, but he's full of it. It's not, it's the cap is 2%. Okay. It doesn't matter if we do a pilot or not. They're capped. If we do the pilot, they're capped. If we don't do a pilot, they're capped. So they don't get more money if we don't do a pilot, and they don't get more money if we do a pilot.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. You had a rebuttal, so now I offer Mr. Desai to also do a rebuttal, further explaining what he was saying.
Sure. 2% of $100,000 is a lot different than 2% of $150,000. So with pilots, we don't get that extra $50,000, so the 2% is less. That's my
Okay,
math,
all right.
and I stand by it.
Okay. All right. I need to be respectful of each of you as you're doing your rebuttals. So
Okay.
now we are done with the Board of Education, and we're going to talk about another hot topic. This one is starting with Desai. How will Parsippany achieve its state mandates to produce more affordable housing? Will you support actions that oppose mandates requiring Parsippany to build more affordable housing? Mr. Desai.
Sure. All the state mandates really came down from, Chris Christie. He's the one who pushed it down. I know everybody says that it's the Democrats in Trenton who's pushing it, but no, this came from long before that. Yes, we will absolutely adhere to what the state has to say and find creative ways to support those mandates. And answer really is that simple. Once I'm in the position, we're going to look at all creative ways, look at independent people to review all the affordable housing mandates and see how we can bring them into Parsippany while still keeping, our taxes low.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Mr. Barbario.
First
Same
and,
question.
first and foremost, you're going back how many years and blaming Chris Christie? It's not Chris Christie's fault. Number one. Number two, this affordable housing mandate has been expedited in 2024 by the Democrat legislation. That's what took place. Okay, we had to have our numbers in. We had to have our numbers in by January, not our numbers in, but January 31st of 2025, and our numbers in by June 30th of 2025, which we did. We had our affordable housing plan all set. It's out there. Okay, but it was expedited by the Democrats. And what they don't do, and he has to talk to his own party, they mandate it, but they give us no funding.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. I'm going to move on to the next topic. This is for Mr. Barbario first. And as you know, I'm going back and forth, so each of you have an opportunity to be the first and the second. Mr. Barbario, Parsippany has approved several warehouse projects, including one off of Parsippany Road, that residents spoke out against. If elected, how would you encourage more long-term warehouses as opposed to other forms of redevelopment? How would you encourage more long-term?
Well, of course, we always try to do the long-term. The situation with that was, it was either a warehouse or it was more housing. I think it was approximately 300 to 400 units of housing. The council decided that, and unanimously, the council decided that they would rezone that and rather have it for a warehouse. Because that warehouse, what do you call it? It's a commercial property. It doesn't affect. And like I said, we had unanimous support from the council. That's a tough decision we got to make. Every time there's a vacant office building or a vacant spot, they call it overdevelopment. It's all redevelopment in the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. These properties are repurposed for a reason. But the council unanimously voted to have a warehouse instead of housing.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Mr. Desai, do you want me to read the question again?
Yes, please.
Parsippany has approved several warehouse projects, including one off of Parsippany Road, that residents spoke out against. If elected, how would you encourage more long-term warehouses as opposed to other forms of redevelopment, if that is something you would encourage?
First of all, why is a warehouse next to an elementary school? It's going to bring heavy traffic, semi-truck traffic on Parsippany Road. Housing probably would have been better right next to an elementary school. Warehouse, absolutely. I now worked in a motor pool when I was in the Marines. That filth, the soot, all the stuff that's going to go, into the stormwater drains. As president of the Lake Association, that's one of the things that I went to the town and I rallied a lot of people to oppose the warehouse next to an elementary school. Long term, I think they could be good. They need to be away from residential areas. As I mentioned, 287 and 80, trucks can come right into the town. drop things off, and they can leave. They don't need to go through the town to drop off their loads and park, big smoking heavy trucks right next to an elementary school.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. The next question is, I'm
I-
sorry.
The quick rebuttal, it's not really a rebuttal, just so you know. The individuals that have the warehouse, they met with the Board of Education. And if I can recollect, the Board of Education would have rather had the warehouse. I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive than the housing, because the housing would bring in a lot more, in their opinion, school-age children. So
I think Mr. Desai was talking about other factors other than the Board of Education. If you want to do a rebuttal, because you were talking about other factors, you can have a chance to do that now.
I do not. I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Desai, you will get the next topic. There have been significant property sales and new commercial development along the Route 46 corridor. What else would you like to see added to the highway commercial corridor? Or in other words, what type of new businesses do you think would serve the residents best?
So, a lot of people tell me that every time there's a kid's birthday party, they have to go to Denville, Morristown, to other towns. I want businesses to come so residents of our town and other residents come to our town and give us the revenue and give us those tax revenue. Those are the developments that we need. In addition to that, just improving infrastructure. Many people have told me, can we build a walkway, or a bridge, where pedestrian bridge, to cross from one side of 46 to the other? And on top of that, parking. I'm completely open to building a couple of parking lots or a multi-level parking structure like Morristown has. That could be a boon in revenue and make people come into Parsippany, to spend their money.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Mr. Barbario, same question.
okay, the corridor you're talking about on Route 46. When I first became the mayor when I came back in 2022, you have Topgolf, Chick-fil-A. You have these are very prominent what do you call it? Businesses along that corridor. Now he's talking about building parking lots. He's talking about building garages and bringing people here. And what's that going to do? Now he doesn't even understand that the complex over there where Pathmark used to be, they're going to be looking to revitalize that area because of the down market. You go further up, Morris Hills, the same exact thing. Okay, he's talking about bringing more population to the town. Okay, that's fine if you want to do that. But the corridor on 46, I meet with developers, I meet with individuals that want to come here. Sometimes I tell them it's not such a great idea. Sometimes, listen, put the application in. Of course, it has to go in front of the Planning and Zoning Board.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Anything before I move on to the next one?
Okay.
No.
Next question, Mr. Barbario, you will get to answer this first. The Boonton Reservoir Trail project has been promised for years, but many believe it continues to experience open-ended delays with no start or completion date in sight. What can you do to make this finally happen?
Well, when I came back, with regards, I met with the individuals, the key people with regards to the reservoir. Listen, the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills had a meeting at the planning board. We approved. We gave them a complimentary approval because they didn't really need approval from us. And we're waiting on the state, Jersey City, and we're waiting on the county. That's what's actually happening. We're ready to go here in Parsippany.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Mr. Desai.
I agree with the mayor on this. This is a project that's in progress. If there are things that are holding up, I would be the first one to say, let's make a difference, or I will not necessarily renegotiate, but if there are any roadblocks, we can help them remove it.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Next question. Mr. Desai, you will start. If elected mayor, would you support projects that allow residents to walk safely around town, especially to and from school? Describe actual improvements you would support to make Parsippany a more walkable community. Do you support putting city street parking rules in effect? Mr. Desai.
Sure. There are a couple of things I would like to do. Year after year, we've noticed that traffic has gone up along with some deaths and injuries. And as I mentioned, when you have a warehouse next to a school that brings in heavy traffic, that's going to be a problem. Also, many areas of Parsippany are dark streets. I like to install solar lights, for better lighting. I want to work with the police, to mitigate traffic, by doing a traffic study to see exactly where the pain points are and alleviate the traffic flow. And then at the crosswalks, I want to install lights so when people are crossing in the dark, their safety is not jeopardized. And finally, e-bike rules. I want to cooperate with the state and county to develop consistent and reasonable, effective rules for e-bikes because that's really goes under the umbrella of public safety and traffic.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Mr. Barbario, same question. Do you want me to repeat it or do you know?
Please repeat it.
If elected mayor, would you support projects that allow residents to walk safely around town, especially to and from schools? Describe actual improvements you would support to make Parsippany a more walkable community. Do you support putting city street parking rules in effect also?
Well, the planning board, anytime there's an application that comes in, the planning board requires that to put sidewalks in. So that's happening already. Okay, so yes, I would be in favor of it, but it's happening. We do it, and that's part of our recommendations to any applicant that comes in. Okay, with regards to the EV bikes, we already working on that right now, having an ordinance in town for safer traffic for those individuals and the drivers on the EVs. But if you want to make everywhere a city, you want to make the town a city, that's the way to do it. You put sidewalks in every community, and then what do you have? You have a city. The town. I don't think the residents of Parsippany want to be a city. They want to be a township still. I think that, and I believe that wholeheartedly. Growing up here, and I speak to many of the residents.
So before I move on, would I assume, since neither of you mentioned this, that neither of you would support putting city street parking rules in effect? And I would just that the voters know that, or is that something we want to elaborate on? That was part of that question, and I know that you both had very thorough answers, but that was one piece neither of you addressed.
Like I just said, the planning board requires it in any application that comes in.
Okay.
But to put it in throughout every single neighborhood, you have to understand too, and I've been through this, where residents want sidewalks, but they want the sidewalks on the other side. Why? Because the residents have to maintain those sidewalks, not the township. And then when you ask the other individuals, no, we want it on that side because they have to maintain it. They got to repair it. They got to do all those things. So to put it throughout the entire town would be very difficult, and it would be financially expensive.
Mr. Desai, do you want to say anything else on that?
Sure. I think with the rules, we would have to take it neighborhood by neighborhood. Parsippany is comprised of so many neighborhoods, and each one has its own, dynamic. So we would have to talk to the residents of those neighborhoods and see whether they like that or not.
Thank you. So we have three more questions. Two are on the environment, and then one more to wrap it up. Mr. Barbario, you are the first to answer this one. What are the most significant environment issues facing Parsippany, and how would you address them?
Well, let's just put it this way. I do address them, and this is how I do it. When I became the mayor in 2010, I had my eyes on several properties that I wanted to create open space. I wanted to purchase those properties and increase our open space for us. I did that. I got 130 acres of the Forge Pond. I got the Custard property. I got the St. Christopher's property. We preserved approximately 160 to 170 acres of land. We do that through redevelopment as well, because we got to follow all the stormwater management, new regulations that weren't in effect when these buildings were built 20, 30 years ago. So we're doing that through redevelopment and repurposing properties.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Mr. Desai, your chance to answer the same question. What are the most significant environmental issues facing Parsippany, and how would you address them?
Well, my running mate, Matt Kavanaugh, he is all about the green energy, green team. In the past, he worked with the mayor to get some state funding for an environmental study that it was never used that we now have to give back. I'm all about green energy. We need to look at all the school system to see how we can improve to save money. Yes, it's an initial cost up front, but I'll be honest with you, I changed all the light bulbs in my house 12 years ago with LEDs, and I haven't had to change anything since then. And I have tangible savings, and I think these are the things we can do in the town across the board.
Thank you, Mr. Desai.
I have one
You have a little rebuttal?
Yeah.
Okay. Go on, Mr. Barbario.
Keeps bringing up Matt Kavanaugh having to give back a grant of $20,000. Well, we did a study that was done by CME Smith. I think it had to do with solar panels on the sewer treatment plant. And after the study came out, the town over a 20 to 30-year period there would be no advantage for the town. In fact, we would pay more over the course of the 20 years than to put the solar panel in. And I might have it wrong, but I'm positive. I know I had the meeting with them. They said it's not cost effective for the town. So no, we couldn't use the money. I'm sorry, it's just
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Mr. Desai.
I'll just disagree. I'll agree to disagree with the mayor on this topic.
of course you wanted.
You have your time. Did you want to discuss other significant environmental issues for Parsippany since you still have a
No,
moment?
I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Okay. The next environmental question, and this is for Mr. Desai first. The downtown Lake Hiawatha improvement project has progressed nicely. What's the next big improvement project that Parsippany needs in your estimation, Mr. Desai?
So yes, I agree. Downtown Lake Hiawatha is coming along nicely. And there are other areas of Parsippany that also needs it. And the second one would be in where the movie theater is. And we had a lot of businesses like Marshall's Leaf. That area needs to be redeveloped. I know there are things slated to come in over there. And I really feel that Parsippany needs walking downtowns. It's a good start in Lake Hiawatha, but I think we also need another area just because our town is the largest in Morris County. And, unlike Denville and Morristown, they don't have a single point of influx. We have multiple points of influx, so we need to look at other areas of Parsippany, and give those residents and surrounding towns close to it an area to come.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. Mr. Barbario.
Okay. First, yeah, the Lake Hiawatha streetscape, as it's called, is coming on, and it's actually going to look really great after that. But my opponent mentioned the movie theater over there with regards to being, I guess, repurposed and all that. Well, it is. It's part of the housing element that we had to send down to the state, the affordable housing element that we had to send down to the state. And I'm sure they're going to be putting an application in very shortly. And I'm sure a lot of residents are not going to be happy about it with regards to the housing coming in. But that's part of the mandate that the state has imposed on us. So yes, they're looking to repurpose it. Again, it's not overdevelopment, it's redevelopment.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Either of you want to discuss further on that topic? So I'm going to do something that's not in my questions, but you both have done such an excellent job of answering the questions within time frame that we have time for it. I want to start with Mr. Barbario. Is there anything with regards to environment the environmental issues going on in Parsippany that we have not discussed that you would like to bring up?
Well, one of the issues we're talking about right now in the town is a tree ordinance. A tree ordinance that's actually been mandated by the state in 2024. Right now, this ordinance is up. It's being reviewed by the council. And we're just waiting on council's remarks and comments with regards to the tree ordinance with Tree City USA for many, many years. So I like to keep us at Tree City USA because I can tell you now, we can sit here and say, hey, listen, we're going to stop this overdevelopment. We're going to slow it down. You're not slowing it down. And I'll tell you why you're not slowing development down in Parsippany, because the state mandates it. So anybody that says we're going to slow the process down, we're not going to allow luxury apartments in Parsippany, good luck. Good luck. I'm only going to be honest and truthful to the residents of Parsippany. The state mandates it. You go to court, and the courts determine what's going to happen in your town. I don't want that to happen because we'll lose our immunity.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. The same question for you, Mr. Desai, and you can talk about the trees or you can talk about whatever you want, but I want to give you an opportunity if there's any other topic with regards to the environment that you're passionate about or that you would like to talk about. I'd like you to have an opportunity to bring it up.
Sure. When I have gone around Parsippany knocking on doors, a few people have mentioned about, flooding. And I think we need to look at the stormwater management in Parsippany to see exactly where we need to improve, to mitigate the flooding that's happening in certain parts of Parsippany. And of course, I want to talk to the state and secure funding for any area impacted by this flooding.
I want to thank both of you for responding the way you did because both of your topics, both trees and flooding, were brought up in the questions from your residents. So I'm sure they are happy to hear that you have a keen eye on those particular areas. So we're now going to leave the environment and we are going to go with our last question. And Mr. Barbario, you'll be first. What criteria will you use in selecting people who work for or volunteer in the Parsippany-Troy Hills Township, and from whom will you be soliciting advice and expertise? How will you work to understand and incorporate the views, ideas, and challenges of the opposite party if you are elected?
Go ahead. The question is really confusing because you're saying, I guess I don't know if you're talking about volunteerings or
Or work, or anyone who works with you. You can include people who work for
let
you,
me
with
say,
you,
when
or
it comes
volunteering.
to a township, I go to professionals that are highly educated in those fields. Okay, from housing, redevelopment projects, sewer. We have experts that handle all this stuff with regard. And guess what? I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. If they're good, I'll hire them. That's basically how it works. I mean, I have a township attorney. You have someone that will handle sewers. You have an attorney that will handle, and that's really the way to do it. I mean, I've been doing this for 12 years. It's not like you just bring anybody on and who wants to give an opinion. It's a difference. Is it viable? Does it work for the township? Is it going to put the township in a bad way? So we always, even the council does. We go to our professionals that will handle it and give us the answers that we need.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. Same question for Mr. Desai. What criteria will you use in selecting people who work for or volunteer in the township, and from whom you will be soliciting advice or expertise? How will you work to understand and incorporate the views, ideas, and challenges of the opposite party if you are elected?
Sure. As president of the Lake Association, I worked with my opponent. As long as the focus is Parsippany, any volunteer for regardless of political spectrum, I will work with you as long as Parsippany comes first. It has to be a win for Parsippany, not for me, not for the council, or not for any political party, but it has to be number one for Parsippany. Second is, of course, I would rely on experts. Some volunteers are experts, but some are professional experts, and I would work with them. But I have no problems working with any volunteers as long as their focus is going to be Parsippany first.
Thank you, Mr. Desai.
Can I just do one?
Sure.
Not
Sure.
really a rebuttal, it's a question, because he continues to say he's the president of the LPPOA, which he is for 5 years. And I got to tell you, I grew up in town, and I see parts of that lake I've never seen as bad as they are. When I think about all the money they collect from the residents of Parsippany, I go to Drew's Beach, and it's disgraceful looking. It's horrible. You've been president for 5 years. You've done nothing to clean that area up. So if you're collecting $180 for 2,200 homes, that comes to $1.6 million over a 5-year period or 4-year, and now it's $310. You collect an additional $682,000. You got to fix the lake.
So, Mr. Desai, you have an opportunity
Yes,
to respond, and you can go a little bit over because I allowed Mr. Barbario to go over.
no problem. In the last 5 years at the lake, I've done nothing but reduce the fees every single year. Every single year it has been reduced, except for last year when a state mandate came in that forced me to raise the fees. So, we're all volunteers. We're not going to do anything shady. We're not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize the lake. So we have to do that. It was a tough decisions. I don't mind making tough decisions. And things are being fixed around the lake. Unfortunately, something you just can't see because there are critical things that need to fix first. For appearance sake, you just don't fix things for appearance sakes. You have to prioritize the most important thing that needs fixing.
Thank you, Mr. Desai.
So remember that he is the mayor, okay? Because
And
you don't do bids.
All right, so if you're going to call this with a rebuttal, then I need to let him also. Did you want to
I'm
finish that
listening.
out for 30 seconds? Did you want to finish out your rebuttal?
Truthful to the residents in Lake Parsippany, so I'm fine with that.
Okay, Mr. Dusai?
I
Did
think
you-
I've done a great job in the lake. Everybody knows where every single penny goes. I publish budget versus actual every month, and I pass my audit every single year. No issues. I had it done by third-party audits, and on top of that, I had it done by residents of the community. My books are always open. And as volunteers, we may not do certain things on time, but that's because we're all volunteers and we have full-time jobs.
I didn't accuse you of not doing your budget right, just so you know. You brought.
Okay, thank you. Thank you both. So we're about to go to the closing, but just like I did with environmental, and because both of you hit two hot buttons that your residents really cared about, I'm going to, because you've done an outstanding job of staying within our hour to finish all our questions, I'm going to ask you a question that I don't have on my list. And it basically is a question that says, and I'm going to start with you, Mr. Dusai. And that is there anything that you wished we had covered that you would like to speak on that we didn't cover in our questions, but that you think is important for the voters to hear from you before you do your closing statements?
I think you cover all the topics from environment, taxes, pilots, the schools, public safety. Those are the things the residents care about, and I do have answers on all of them. Obviously, I expect my voters to trust me, to make the right decisions based on my past experience, and if experience is all that matters, we won't change anything. So I think the residents are looking for a new vision for Parsippany. I think you covered all the topics, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Dusai. Mr. Barbario, this is your opportunity. If there was anything that I didn't cover that you had hoped I would have covered, this is your opportunity. If the last question before closing statements.
Well, we really didn't cover one of the most important issues on Parsippany. That's public safety. We didn't talk about public safety, and that's probably the most important. When I came back in 2022, we were down to 81 deployable peace officers. We had to bump those up. We had no traffic division. Our detective bureau was suffering. Well, I brought that back up to 99. Okay, and that was done with the dedication of the residents who came to town hall and say, no matter what, we want public safety, and they got public safety. Okay, with regards to taxes, we maintained it. We kept the taxes low over the last 3 years. How to fix the problem that he keeps saying is a surplus, which he doesn't even know what he's talking about because it's not a surplus. So I say to him, we have a council meeting coming up on November 13th. Bring all your facts. And the other thing is this. I've been asked by the residents in Lake Parsippany to audit your books at the LPPOA. Nobody's doing anything wrong. Nobody even said you were doing anything wrong. But when you come and you challenge the township saying we're not doing things right, okay, well, you know what? You got to really fix the lake. The people have said that to me. A lot of people have said that to me.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. I'm giving you both a chance to do any kind of rebuttal on what was said. Do either of you like to say anything further before we go to closing statements?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay, so our time is up, and we certainly appreciate the time each of you have given us in providing your thoughtful answers to the questions that your Parsippany-Troy residents have respectfully submitted to us online. And it's now time for each of you to have a chance to discuss your closing statement. We started before with Mr. Barbario for opening statements, so I will start with Mr. Desai to start and talk about his 2-minute closing statement. And with that, you have the mic.
I have always believed that leadership starts with listening and that progress begins when people come together. My journey from a young immigrant who came to America to a Marine who served this country to a neighbor who spent years volunteering and rebuilding trust in our community, it's all been about one thing: believing that service can make a difference. I know what it means to work hard and to tell the truth and to lead with integrity. We all seen the signs: permits that take too long, taxes that climb too high, schools that struggle for funding, and roads that crumble when special interest gets ahead. I'm fighting for a government that listens to the people, not special interest. All my decisions will be timely and not timed for political reasons. Just like I fought for over 2,200 members of Lake Parsippany when the previous administration levied a $200 fee just to vote. I fought for that, and I changed that. I will fight for you. I promise I will not blame past administration, but inherit whatever I have been given, deal with it, and make good sound decision. The blame game stops with me. This November, let's change that. Progress in Parsippany for its residents is my goal. Vote for Pulkit Desai for mayor, Matt Kavanaugh and Dia Patel for council. And remember, voting is an act of love for your community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Desai. And I will turn it over to Mr. Barbario, but I will take this opportunity to put in a little plug that we will have our town council debate tomorrow at the same time and same place. It'll be live streaming on the League of Women Voters, and you'll be able to see it there. With that, thank you for your closing statement. And now, Mr. Barbario, your closing statement.
In sharp contrast, actually, we contrast in a lot of things here. I offer a lifetime of unwavering dedication to Parsippany. Having grown up in this community and serving as your mayor for 12 years, I have deep-seated connection to our town and its people. My experience as a business administrator in 3 other municipalities have equipped me to transform local government challenges into opportunities for growth and improvement. As we confront significant issues ranging from budgetary constraints and need for affordable housing to ensure public safety and preserving vital municipal services, sound leadership is paramount. Each of these factors is linked to our quality of life, and I'm prepared to tackle them head on. We have already witnessed a disastrous effect of electing an inexperienced individual back in 2017 who sweet talked like this gentleman did today. Let us not repeat that mistake. The repercussions were profoundly felt throughout the town and serve as a stark reminder of what is at stake. Today, I implore you to champion leadership rooted in experience, commitment, and deep understanding of our community. Together, let us forge a brighter future for Parsippany. I earnestly ask for your support. Please vote for me, James Barbario, for mayor, and for Frank Nagel and Jigga Shaw for town council on November 4th. Thank you for your time, your trust, and unwavering commitment to our community. Together, we can ensure a prosperous future. I also want to thank the residents for your trust in me over the last 12 years. We need to keep Parsippany moving forward, not with an inexperienced individual who says he gets back to his residents in Lake Parsippany and says he's met with me. I've met with other representatives about Lake Parsippany. He stayed quiet the whole time. They're the ones that told me the issues we had. He was in my office and he didn't say a word. Those other individuals did. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Barbario. I'm glad again that you also mentioned the importance of the town council vote and debate that's going to be taking place tomorrow night. Again, I want to remind people. And I'm also happy that you brought up the importance of voting, which is what I'm going to get into next. As we formally close out this program, on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Morris area, I'd like to take an opportunity to remind you of the 3 important ways that you can vote. This is a critical year both for Parsippany-Troy Hills and for the state and for many other key elections within New Jersey. So please, everyone, I'm going to go over these so that you don't miss your opportunity to vote. You can vote by mail. Accommodations have been made for voters with disabilities, and you can secure ballot drop box by placing your mail-in ballot in one of the county's secure ballot drop boxes by 8 p.m. on Election Day, Tuesday night, November 4th. Drop box locations can be found on votenewjersey.gov, the Board of Elections office, or you can mail it in as long as it is postmarked on or before 8 p.m. on Election Day and is received by Monday, November 10th by the Board of Elections. We also have early voting, which takes place from Saturday, October 25th through Sunday, November 2nd for all registered voters. Hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 10 to 6 p.m. Voters can vote at any of the early voting locations throughout Morris County, and you do not need an appointment. And then, of course, you can vote on Election Day, which is November 4th, and the election office for voting at your site is open from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. If you have questions on any of these, you can go to our league site and put in vote411.org, and that will give you your information. And information can be found both in English and Spanish. And if any of this particular forum you would like to hear in a different language, you can request that online and it will be transcribed into another language, including on vote 411.org. There's information about candidate guides, voter registration, verification, details about unique ballots, everything you need to know for voting for Parsippany-Troy Hills and within the state. I want to thank everyone and how much I appreciated being your moderator tonight. And before we go, we'd like to thank the candidates for their participation this evening to share their views on issues that are important to them. We also want to thank Bill from the Daily Record. Even though he wasn't here, he did work with us to sponsor and work on the questions and making tonight's debate possible. And finally, we want to thank the audience for joining us tonight and on the live stream at any time that's convenient for you. We hope you have a great night, and we have a big shout out to vote and remind your friends and family to get out and vote as well. And with that, I want to say good night, but Mr. Barbario is flagging me down there.
One thing, and this has nothing to do with the election, has to do with Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which I hold to my heart. And then you see I wear pink, and I do that for a reason. I want us all here tonight to, pray for the families that are survivors and who haven't survived. I take this very serious. I wear 31 pink ties throughout October to show my support. So I think that's important. We all know that.
Thank you very much. It's also domestic violence prevention and awareness. So it's an important time of the year for both of those. And did you want to say anything, Mr. Desai?
No, I agree with the mayor on this, 100%. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to vote.